Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Jar of Marble dwellers and Jar of Marble curious. My name is Linda and this is my podcast, Jar of Marbles. I was just eating a lolly and I got caught out. I had to quickly get it out of my mouth and stick it on a tea towel and then turn and go, oh, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Oh my goodness gracious, talk about getting caught. But anyway, this week I wanted to talk a little bit about recovering from people. Now, this is not a new subject. It's called lots of different things and people have experienced this in loads of different ways. But I was just thinking about it and I thought it's really worth talking about because quite often, when, you hear someone say or someone says to you, what's wrong? Really what they should be asking is, who is wrong? Isn't that right though? Because more often than not, it's somebody or people in a situation that is actually costing you your peace of mind, your happiness, and sometimes, you're part of the problem. Sometimes you are the problem. I mean, I know I've been the problem. There's no doubt about that. Oh, not you. Yes, Bob, me. I think sometimes if we expect too much of ourselves and we give too much of ourselves and then we turn around and we wonder why we're burnt out and feeling like rubbish, is because we're the problem. We're not saying no. We're just, putting our hand up without getting all the details. And even if we're feeling exhausted, I think, oh, well, what's one more thing? I can do one more thing. Sometimes, no. But being an adult, adulting looks like understanding that there is pain that we are subjected to, and pain we volunteer to endure. So we've got to stop volunteering. The next chapter I'm saying to myself is, and have been saying this for quite some time, is it really is invite only. If I have to question whose side you're on, then you're not on my side. I really learnt that lesson full on. It was probably, let's say, about 5 years ago, someone that I had been friends with for a number of years, thought the absolute world of, and she was friends with somebody who I wasn't really friends with, and it was starting to be a bit of a problem because whenever I saw my friend, we might be going walking or we'd go out for a coffee or something like that, she would do nothing but talk about this other person, knowing full well that she wasn't really one of my favourite people. Now, then she would just go on and on and on and on about how wonderful this person was, and I'd be looking at her like, is she joking? And really the question was to ask is like, do you really need to talk to her about me? Do you two need to get a room? I mean, it was just obsessive. And I had noticed that. I noticed that this woman who was my friend, who was my actual, one of the most loveliest friends I've ever had, she over time was really starting to sort of worship this person. And everything this person said was just right, was, she was living the life that we all would dream to. And it's like, oh my God, no. Oh yeah, she claimed that she was really wealthy. Like, good on you, who cares? But she was married to a man who abused her. But okay, I mean, maybe that's someone's idea of joy and happiness. And I only know this because she told us, and a lot of other things that my friend had sort of whitewashed and decided that this was the person she was aspiring to be, which is fine. That's her bag, whatever. But I didn't speak up. That was me being a problem to myself. I was still wanting to salvage what was left of our friendship, and I let that go on for quite some time. I look back now and I just think, oh my God, where was I? Who was I? And I'm sharing this with you because sometimes when we're busy podcasting here, we can sound like we are the answer to all things, and that's just not right. It's not true, and I certainly don't want to come across as that person, but I did want to be able to at least share that with you because from that place I feel that I hit rock bottom in regard to that friendship, and that it was time to start heading to the top again and get as far away as possible from her and the whole situation as I could. I found that the friendship was no longer mutually beneficial. I would suggest that we'd go somewhere and it would be always up to me to ring, make all the details, make all the bookings, whatever. And I found that more often than not, I had my hand in the pocket all the time. And, when you're really great friends, you don't even think about these things. But when things are breaking down, you start having to look at what the actual reality is. So I was looking at all of that, and I realised that I was getting nothing out of this friendship. I still think a lot of that person, but I just can't be around that kind of energy, that kind of deceitfulness, and just utter misery. And so I just had to start stopping things from sliding, which was what I was doing. I was just letting everything slide. And because I am tired of recovering from people, sort of fairly done with it, I realised that this a number of years ago, mending from so-called breaches of trust, be it romantic or otherwise, that they've decided that they want to move on or screw your friends or take your family and friends from you, tidbits in life. And they were doing me a massive favour. Yes, it doesn't feel like that at the time. I know, I absolutely know that. But boy, I'm glad I didn't waste too much time over it. Most of us have done our grieving anyway by the time we've moved on, which is very, very true for so many women or men, I guess, and marriages that have broken down. The reality is by the time we split up and go our own way, usually we've done all our grieving within those four walls. I remember I was just closing in on 30 years old when I had my first separation, which ultimately led to a divorce. And I realised that when I was walking out down that path for the last time and I was getting into my car, that all my grieving had been done. And I never cried over it once. I never looked back and went, maybe, because all the horrendous BS had happened and I had done all my mourning and grieving and anger and sadness, all that stuff. So for the longest time of having to be resilient and put on a strong face, and then I'd see these microaggressions that would appear in our lives, and I had to keep my face straight. And what I mean by keeping my face straight was be unreadable. I felt instinctively that I had to be hard to read, as some of the ding-dongs I was dealing with at different stages of my life were actually quite dangerous. The weight gets too much. You have to be human, which means you're layered, and sometimes you have to allow yourself to be vulnerable. But in saying that, there was a long lapse of time when I did not dare. I had 3 kids in my care, and life demanded of me to be cautious. I mean, a picture of the father in every classroom, cautious. It was a time. How dare you? You who insisted on putting all their crap on me and then kicking me straight in the teeth while I held on to my 3 children, completely abandoned, then asked what was my problem. These people wonder why you don't want to be their friend. They conveniently forget their treachery, their disgusting behaviour. For so long, I was searching for a real love, and it turns out the real love was, you got it, was me. Yes, really, no one should treat you better, offer you more grace, spoil you, support and encourage you, and like you more than you. To enjoy your life, you have to learn to choose you. Choose your happiness. Choose your health. Normalise choosing yourself. Choose to do the work. Be clear about your needs for you. Be honest about the consequences of the continued behaviour. Be ready to create distance if your significant other isn't willing to work towards change. You're worth it, but do you really understand what that means? It's a beautiful reminder to us all that we have worth. There is precious value in each and every one of us. Even on the days when we don't feel like it, we never depreciate in value. One thing is important to emphasise is that many of our true natures many of us are, delicate and fragile. And it is important to embrace our vulnerability and allowing others to help us, to make space for others to show up for us. It's not always easy, but it's necessary. Expressing the desire and the deserving of help is the ultimate act of self-advocacy. The younger people will, if you can learn it now, oh my goodness, that would be just so wonderful. I had to learn all this stuff much older, or in reflection, I'd look back and go, yes, I could see I was right there, but I just didn't know it. I wasn't, exposed to the information that we are now to realise and to be able to label and recognise what I was going through, what I was working out. It's more about the healthy boundaries that we implement in our life and loving ourselves. I think we know now that many of us are not talking about conceit. We are hammering home the concept of truly loving you, caring for yourself. This will always be your biggest protection against being used and abused. You won't even attract this kind of personal situation. You're vibrating at a totally different level. Be gone, energy suckers. Those energy vampires are the worst. The most dangerous ones are the ones that don't know they're doing it, just sucking you dry of all your energy, ideas and time. But if you're on top of it and caring for yourself, you will smell it before it physically appears in your day today. So mutually beneficial or immediately no? No. That's right, Bob. We've all got to learn how to say that. It's never too late to create new boundaries. This can be applied to any relationship, whether it be potential friends, romantic or family. It makes us better humans, happier people, and in turn, a world a better place. Your choices are a direct reflection of the state of your life. Your life is the result of the choices you make. I remember reading about that one day and it was just like, bow, bow. I really just understood. Just sort of like that. Anyway, no guilt fit into the picture of being all about the right moves for yourself. The next chapter in my life is about me. It's about not having to question more than once whether you're for me or not. You do get to a point in your life when you just do have one shit to give and not the time to spare. So it's self to self. Don't make me tell you twice. #invite only, because I want proof that you are who you say you are. And if you are, then we are all good. And if not, there's the door. Don't forget your ugly hat. I believe it is a rite of passage where sooner or later we get hit with the wake-up stick, right between the eyeballs. We know way too much now. We know that toxic people are a real thing, that we are not imagining it. If we are questioning, then that is a massive sign that something or someone is wrong. Wrong for you. If you feel stressed out by someone, again, show them the door. Too much vital time can be wasted on what you knew in the first time, right? I mean, how many times did we go, I had a feeling not to go out tonight, or I knew there was something wrong with that person. So it's time to trust your first impressions. Hey, you're never going to get it right all the time, but you will get it right a lot of the time if you really are keeping those eyes peeled. I've heard myself say many times, I would love to be wrong, and they always prove me right. It's going to feel lonely for a bit, but maybe you won't. And those that do, remember that. Nothing is as grueling as putting up with insincere wastes of skin. I know in my past I have felt that searing loneliness, but it was a space that had to remain as a space until I could decide healthily what I was going to fill it with. Bottom line, if you're not adding to my life, then you're taking. So that is a hard no. So many of us are tired from recovering from people. This is not an isolated idea, concept. This is a time where people are wanting to get past shitty people and situations and want to thrive and flourish. It's what we want for our parents or children or friends, family. So hell, why not ourselves? After all, we are the only ones that can do this for ourselves. Find someone or a thought leader, a positive person online to follow to boost your inner you. It may not be anyone you know right now, but there are connections to be found where you feel at home and comforted and encouraged to grow. You must protect your peace. You've got to get rid of the dead wood. You do not want to hurt your back dragging all that weight that is not yours. All you need to do is hold on to you. I recently had a massage after about 3 years. Absolutely shameful. My left shoulder and the top of my arm had been killing me for months. Turned out my right side was far worse. Now, after a 40-minute torture session, I swore and I declared that I was not going to neglect myself like that again. It can happen, but it was a choice that was made, and now it has reminded me that that part of my life entails regular attention. Why? because I'm all I've got, and it's demonstrating respect and care for myself. You cannot let anything slide. How often do you hear sorry dating stories, for example, when they had a bad feeling, they made excuses for someone and it never turns out well? Are we being led by our perceived loneliness or boredom? Are we listening to our intuition or the need for a quick fix? So roar it like a lion at your good self. In my age group, so many of us have already done so much selfless acts, that is raise our children well, and some of us under extreme, excuse me, a little bit of a swallow there, some of us under extreme duress. And if that be your story too, it is mine. There most certainly comes a time when you finally don't have to duck and weave a moronic ex-partner and father of your children who is not interested in their kids. Correction, my kids. Just wants to cause problems and undermine what you're doing on your own, and then they put in their threats and their scary innuendos. There comes a time when you do not have to suck up to their rubbish in order to keep the kids safe. There comes a time when you can allow yourself to unfurl and see how you are in the world now, who you are in the world now. Be able to experience and know your most natural emotions and your most natural reactions instead of having to bottle up how you really feel. And when you deserve recognition and the utmost respect, and congratulations for doing a fantastic job on your own. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. So lovely. Thank you. Well, there was the applause. I'd just like to thank myself for doing a truly amazing job in raising 3 daughters on my own and providing love on demand, food, clothing, entertainment, and freedom to express themselves, and openness, and to make them feel all precious and loved beyond words. I know that I did that. So now I am so excited about my future, about how I will land in life moving forward. Without dealing with toxic families on both sides, honest to God, there's not enough words in the world to describe this bunch. Oh my God, well, 2 bunches. Actually, I think there was 3 bunches. Anyway, without being denied my very existence again by an entire family. I won't say mine because they are not mine. They are people I used to know. Without having to factor in my children's safety, yeah, that's correct. Their safety was a real issue, and my job for years was keeping them safe. A lot of things broke my heart, but I fixed my vision over time, moving from city to city, way too much. So now that I don't have to factor in 3,042,000 other very real considerations, how exciting does my life look now? Let me tell you, pretty damn good. Thank you. Thank you. Too many of us have these stories, and it is especially why this chapter is invite only, and there is absolutely no need, no desire to volunteer or to endure. Bottom line, I no longer volunteer to nonsense because I'm tired of recovering from people. It's been quite some time now, and I highly recommend. I take full responsibility for allowing it to happen, but let's be clear, there is a vastness of distance now, which I adore, and I can see me 30 years plus years ago. I'll say that again. I can see me 30 plus years ago, and I had no idea what was happening or coming. I was raising my beautiful kids, so I love myself that I tried so hard under unforgiving conditions, and I think my innocence, my belief in goodness kept me going. That still exists in me, but it is, as I say, invite only. Emphasis must be on invite only. Not everyone deserves my energy or your energy, and it is special, and it cannot be touched by just anyone. That is a truth right there. You really want to be around people who encourage you, respect you. So we know words are nice, but they have to be accompanied by actions, right? So you never hear of anyone who decided to do the right thing for themselves ever regret it, ever. It's preparation, working on yourself, caring for yourself, and learning from failure. So that road is a dead end trying to get your point across to the non-believers. Forget it. Do not waste your time. Your soul wants this. If you're still listening, then take this as a surefire sign that it is time to keep going for you. Just keep keep going. It is vital. And especially if you have kids, they're watching. Let it be an epic watch. To some of you, it might feel like new thinking, and that is great if that is the case, because if this is resonating with you, then it is definitely time. People think they have forever, and let me tell you, it's not so. So get going. This is a whole mouthful of time to level up. I want to live in peace. I'm kind of addicted to it. I dictate terms and conditions. It turns out I'm the woman for the job. I'm fair, I'm generous, and I don't carry on like a pork chop when the scales wobble. I rely on me. I trust myself, and I know what makes me happy. Anything less, I turn my nose up. No can do and won't do. I'm not taking a lifetime to recover. I am recovered, and therefore will not be available for any nonsense scenarios. It's quite simple, really. I've spoken to women who have said that they will never get over someone, and maybe they are still sort of in that stage where they haven't woken up to at what point did they make that person their heartbeat, because biology tells me that that is not true. Basically, it's game over when you know who you are. It's not about who the other was and who you would like them to be and it's about you. It is about your value and you're taking charge of your life, and it's not being in anyone else's hands. I cannot think of anything worse aside bad coffee, but really, #prove it. It doesn't have to be said to the person, but I do think it. Yeah, you prove it. No blind faith, absolutely not. That is foolish, and then they see you coming. So no way. True queens know their worth, most certainly queenagers. We are so done that it is without question we've seen too much multiple times, and so it's with no sadness we say we are not into recovery anymore. There is zero chance you'll get through the door. When you are firmly standing up for you, oh, you like standing up for you? Damn straight I do, Bob. There's nobody coming. The right things come your way because the worm energy is gone. The bright light of high standards and adulting with a twist. That twist is fun and keeping a strong eye on my business and my health. Yes, this comes with age and wisdom, but if any of this resonates with you, you may save yourself some bother, and that is my hopefulness for you. I'm with me all the way, and I hope that you are with you all the way too. That emotion, intelligence, does not come automatically with age. I feel that is actually just a fact, but it is something to aspire to, and it's something to aspire to have. If you are checking yourself and truly caring about yourself consciously, it seems to go hand in hand. It does. A very stylish, sassy, irreverent hand in hand. Be bold, be flippant, be cheeky. You know why? Because it's really great fun. And you know what? It's that time again. Thank you. Thank you very much. No, really. No, thank you. It's that time. It's the end of another podcast. I've had a bit of a good time this time. I flicked on that little applause button a few times. Who do I think I am, eh? Well, I think that I'm me, and I know that you're you, and I'm glad that you've come again, and I'm really pleased that we managed to, spend a little bit of time together. I hope that you have a good week ahead, and I look forward to seeing you again. So say good day to the family and the cockatoo, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.